So then, yeah, fast forward to August of last year, attempted the Lean Horse 100 down in South Dakota. And again, it was one of those races that I kind of just felt this thing like I need to go try this. We had lost my grandfather, and he'd always loved the Black Hills. It was always a thing that we enjoyed talking about, reminiscing about all the memories from growing up with, my dad and my uncles growing up, and it was Black Hills were always a special place for him. So that was something that I felt like I needed to do. There was something tugging me towards it. It wasn't a race like I would typically sign up for. It's not a mountain ultra. It's all on the Mickelson Trail. But there was something pulling me to go do it again, or to go do it. And that ended up being my first DNF at an ultra, because I had because I made a promise to myself before that race that if I was having those issues again, I hadn't had those issues throughout the summer of pacing Adam and Phil and Nathan. So I thought everything was okay, but I had made myself a promise that if those things happen again, you're stopping. You're not gonna continue going.
That's a hard thing to tell yourself.
Yep.
You never DNF'd up until that point.
Up until that point, I'd never DNF'd. And but yeah, I started having those same kind of feelings. They kind of started kicking up around probably like the 40-ish mile mark again, and needing to pee but not being able to. And I was like, something's not right. So got myself to the 100K mark, and I was just like, Mom, Dad, I got to be done. Like, I had made myself a promise that I wasn't going to do this, and it honestly wasn't as hard at the time to take in that pill of my first DNF at an ultra. Like, it's just it wasn't hard. I knew it was the right thing to do.
Because you probably knew, like, you could have kept going. You'd already done it at Bighorn.
Yep.
But it was the smart choice to make.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, like I said, in the moment, it was not a hard decision. And it was a result of a kept promise with myself. And I think that was honestly, for me, one of the things that was pulling me towards doing that. Everything happens for a reason. I needed to find out in that way.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. So yeah, after that was when sisters, they're both healthcare professionals. They were like, all right, we need to get you in for some blood tests, some urine tests, that kind of stuff. And I was like, yep, we do. So that was where that kind of started. So yeah, I went in for blood tests, and the phantom issue became the low platelet disorder. ITP was what I ended up being diagnosed with in September. So it's an immune thrombocytopenia. It's just a blood disorder, autoimmune, that affects your platelets. So your body's ability to clot blood. So when they're extremely low, your body doesn't clot, your blood doesn't clot, and you become a bleeding risk.
Wow.
So, being able to do things in the mountains, like, running a 100-mile race, like, yeah, you probably shouldn't do that when your platelets. So normal range for platelets is between 150,000 and 450,000 platelets per microliter of blood. And I was down in the low teens.
Oh my gosh.
I was down in the low teens, which
like 10% of what it should have been.
Mm-hmm. And so obviously the risk, the threat of doing things, being a bleeding disorder, like even just like you get a bloody nose in the middle of nowhere, like doing some of the things that I like to do on my own, like, okay, you die because of a bloody nose because your body can't stop bleeding.
That's scary.
So yeah, it was a tough thing.
How does that correlate? Do you know how it correlates with like the peeing and is it kidneys or like what is
so our best guess, and from talking with a urologist at the time after the fact, like obviously the best thing to do after Bighorn would have been to go to a urologist, but like obviously you can't go back and do things now. But
well, yeah, I mean, you ran 100 miles. You're like,
yeah,
it's like a weird little hiccup, but we're fine.
Yeah, we're fine. Yeah, but so speaking with urologists after the fact and with hematologist up at UC Health in Denver, their best guess is what could have happened last summer at Bighorn, at Lean Horse, was that I had a kidney stone,
Mm.
or kidney stones, and that maybe that release at Bighorn when I finally was able to pee, because like just in description of like how that felt and how that went. Just talking with the urologist, the hematologist are like, you might have passed a kidney stone in the middle of your race. I'm like,
Wow.
I would believe that, as painful as it was.
Gosh.
So yeah.
Does that explain the blood thing though?
No, not at all.
That's so crazy.
Not at all. So again, it's an autoimmune disorder. The cause of it is not known. It's been around for a while. But yeah, the cause of it is still not known. It's just an autoimmune response that my body is presenting. I had that it attacks platelets,
Wow.
which our bodies are creating literally millions of platelets every minute. There's just obviously something in people that are dealing with ITP where they're consuming about that much as well. So yeah, the time since the diagnosis was very challenging. Just like trying to figure out like, okay, is there a specific number that I should try to get to? And like at the time, it wasn't like, okay, I need to get back to this number so I can start running again. It was just like full stop, which was very hard. Being somebody who's always been that active person, like I'd taken breaks from running, but it was self-imposed. It was because I knew I needed that time away from it. But it was the first time in my life where I was told, stop doing this, you could die. Like you could I mean, like that sounds dramatic, but like literally, like I said, like when your platelets are that low and you're out in the middle of nowhere, like even just like a turned ankle where you bleed internally, like your body doesn't stop bleeding. Little bloody nose, body doesn't stop bleeding when your platelets are that low. So yeah, to be told like stop doing this because you could die, like like leading up to that point, like I felt like I was a person who like kind of knew like I needed the running. It was something like I felt like I would die without it.
Yeah.
But like to be told like you need to stop doing this was a very tough pill to swallow.
That's hard.
Because I've always been somebody who is, like I feel like has been in control of my body.
Yeah.
And, like I know when my body or how my body feels when it's operating at its highest level. And to just be like, like this was not, like from a like time standpoint, like this was not far removed from, doing things like the Grand Slam. Like I'm like, I felt like I was at like the pinnacle of like where I should be.
Yeah.
And to then just be told like, you have to stop this now. It was hard.
And doing things for years and years.
Yeah.
I mean, over 10 years of it, or close to 10 years of the running side, at least, like being consistent with all that stuff. Like you develop such an intuition for your body, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And like, when something's a little bit off or it's not quite right. But did you feel like anything was off?
See, and that is one of the weird things with ITP. There are sometimes people that present symptoms of there's like a rash you can get. Your gums can bleed from even just brushing your teeth.
Wow.
Easy bloody noses. Fatigue is the biggest thing that people notice. And that is something that I was very aware at the time and still am. Like I'd probably become my own worst enemy in that regard, because fatigue was always something that I was just something that I could, no, you're tired because you're doing this.
Right.
You're tired because you're doing this. Like that's normal. Fatigue is a thing. Ignore it. You're fine. But then in that time frame when I was being told to stop, not do those things, and was not doing those things, and was still feeling that fatigue, that was when I was like, huh, okay, this is a thing.
Wow.
So that has been the biggest thing that I've noticed, kind of growing with ITP, has been that fatigue side of things, that recovery side of things is just a little bit delayed. But it's something that I'm learning to live with, and kind of just have kind of made that switch within myself. Like there was a time in there where I saw ITP as a barrier and something that was just like something that I needed to fight, something that I needed to battle. But then I flipped the switch of nope, it's just a part of me. It's something that I'm going to have to deal with for who knows how long. Could be something that I deal with for the rest of my life. Could be something that randomly goes away. I mean, they really don't know. It's a disease that's been around long enough, but they still, there's just so much they don't know about it. As far as how long it's going to last, if it's going to be the rest of your life, what kind of treatments you're going to need, what kind of treatments your body are going to respond to best. And once I flip that switch of being able to just recognize ITP as being something that's a part of me and that I'm a strong person, it doesn't diminish me. When I was able to make that switch from a mental side, was when I was okay with kind of just relearning, teaching myself to do hard things again.
Yeah.
Gosh. And that came with some trial and error for sure. Like we talked about a little bit earlier. But yeah, just kind of relearning, reteaching myself to be okay with doing those hard things again after having some conversations with some specialists that were like, yeah, it's dangerous, but it's okay. Like, so we understand that this is something for you that you need, and something that, you know, everybody knows the benefits of physical exercise and the good things that come from that, and how those things far outweigh the risk of being a bleeding risk. So that, you know, getting that knowledge from that specialist at UC Health was really good. It came at the right time, as I was, again, like I said, reteaching myself, relearning, just letting myself do hard things again.
Yeah. So so there's still no correlation from the peeing thing with the blood thing. So have you always had ITP? And do you feel any different than you did like 5 years ago versus now? Or like, do you think that maybe like it like is a recent thing that happened? Or
so that's another thing. Like I'm not somebody who avoids doctors, but like I've had no reason to go into a doctor's office, because I've been a healthy person. Mm-hmm. So as far as like how long I've had ITP, we have no idea really. Maybe it's been for a long time, and we just noticed because of.
You went in for something else.
Went in thinking that it was an issue with my urinary system, right. And then, oh nope, it's not that, it's this.
Interesting.
And again, I truly do believe that everything happens for a reason. I needed that to happen in order for me to find out, like, okay, this is the thing that you need to be focused on, that you need to be adapting to, figuring out, so that you can, you know, go back to doing those things that move you, that, like I said earlier, that, you know, make me feel the most alive, that make me feel, just like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
How long did you spend not running or exercising?
It was about 2 months. How
was that?
I mean, I'm not going to go as far as say that it was like clinical depression, but it was, I was in a very, very low place for sure. Because again, just being somebody who's always done those things from a very young age, it was, and then to just full stop. It was hard. I'm not going to say it was easy because it wasn't.